Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is one of the really cool features of Kaltura, and that is its interactive quiz feature. So the word quiz, a lot of times people have a picture in mind of what a quiz is. You think of it as an assessment where you're asking the students to kind of prove what do you know, and then giving them a grade for it. So you can use it that way. But you can also use this quiz feature in a number of different ways too, and I'm going to show you some of those. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to my media. And essentially what the quiz feature is doing is allowing you to drop in multiple choice questions at any point in your video, and then have it scored automatically, and then collect that data. So in order to do it, add new dropdown, thank you, the blue add new button. And there is a video quiz button. And when I click on that, it asks me to select one of my videos. So I'll take the video that I just created this morning and I'll hit select. And now I'm in the quiz editor interface here. Okay, so I'm going to press start to create a new quiz. And what it's going to do is leave my old video and create a new copy with the quiz questions on top of it. So they did just change this interface, as I said, and I'm not sure why it's so much slower. But the first thing that we'll want to do is set a couple of settings on here. So I'm going to go to details here. And the first thing is editing the quiz name. So by default, it just takes the name of your recording and it throws the word quiz at the end. And if I don't intend to use this as a quiz and I intend to just use this as a retrieval practice or like a recall opportunity for students to study as they're going, maybe I'll just call this study questions instead. And then that kind of lets the students know that this isn't really like a typical kind of quiz, that it's not counting towards their grade. It's just an opportunity for them to learn and be interactive while they're watching the video. So then they get a welcome message that says, by default, in this video, you'll be given a quiz. Good luck. Well, I'm going to take that word quiz out of there. You will be given some questions to answer. And instead of good luck, I'll say, have fun. And then, do I want these instructions to appear? All questions must be answered. The quiz will be submitted at the end. So I can decide if I don't want that to show, I can uncheck that box, or I can check that, leave it checked to show. And then I decide on the score. What do I want to have happen? Do I want them to, by default, show the scores so that the user will see their score at the end? Or do I not want to see that? So the students don't get any kind of score, but I just get some information as the instructor about what do the students know as they're watching this video. So I'm going to show them the scores. And then when they see the score, do I also want them to see the answers? So some teachers might say, no, I want them to go back and look for the correct answer. I'm not going to tell them what the correct answer was. I'll just tell them you got number 2 wrong. So they can go back to the video number 2 and they can read the question again, and they can rewind the video and try to figure out what the correct answer to number 2 was. Or you can tell them what the correct answers are. So it's up to you. And then the last thing here is the experience. So do I want them to have a list of the questions before they start? So if you do, it will take all of the questions that you create with the answers, and it will compile all of them into a PDF document that they can then download. So that can be really helpful as a study guide for students too. So I'm going to leave that checked. And then I have to decide, do I want them to be able to change their answers before they submit the quiz? So if I am giving the answer away later in the quiz, probably don't want to let them edit their answers. If not, sure, you can let them go back and change their answers. I'm going to say no. I want to know what they knew at that particular moment in time. I don't want to, it's not a summative assessment. It's not prove what you know. It's what do you get right now after watching this section of the video? And then the other option here is, do you want to let them skip a question and come back to it later? So again, I'm going to say, no, you can't skip it. I want to know, what do you know right now? And then I'm going to go over to watch my video over on the side here, and I'm going to click play. And then I just pause where I want to put the question in. And then I click this plus sign and I type in my question up here. Oh, my finger's not working today. And then I put my correct answer. I'll put some incorrect answers. And I'll add some more incorrect answers. And then when I'm done adding my correct and incorrect answers, I'll hit this little shuffle button so that the correct answer isn't always first. So that just randomly shuffles it into a different order. Every time I click it, it just randomizes the answers. And then I'll click save. And now that question is added to the timeline here. So down the bottom of the timeline, I can see this little cube. I put my mouse over it and the question pops up. And then I click play. And then I pause. And I click the plus sign to add another question. And I always have to put my correct answer first. And you can add, I think, up to 5 answers in here. And then I'll just shuffle them and I'll hit save. And I've got another question on my timeline. So you just keep playing and you keep pausing. And you can, you know, drag to different parts of your timeline if you need to, rather than watching the whole thing. So if you know, keep track of seconds and minutes as you're recording, so that you don't have to go back and watch the entire video again, you can just jump right to a point in the timeline and add a question there.
Ian, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So the user, when it's time for them to watch the video stops until they're done answering the question, or is there a time?
Yes. Yep. There's no time limit. It just hangs there. And they can't, since I unchecked that skip question, there's nothing they can do. They can't play the video until they answer the question. So they're kind of forced to do that. If I let them skip the question, they can ignore the question and watch the video and then come back to it later. So it's up to you if you want to do that. And then just shuffle my answers. And there is another tool up here, this little light bulb, and that lets me give either a hint or a why. So the hint is just a little hint to say, yesterday was Wednesday. So it's just a clue to what the correct answer might be. And then the why is if I let them see the answers at the end, boy, I'm having a real problem typing today. I can give them an explanation why that answer is correct and then hit save. And then when I'm done, I'll click the done button. Okay, and now I'm just going to go to the page for this quiz so we can see what a student's going to see. So it looks to them like a regular old video. So I'm going to click play. And instead of playing the video, it gives me that welcome message. In this video, you'll be given some questions to answer. Have fun. And then I've got the pretest available because I let them see all the questions. So I can click on that button, and it will open or download a PDF. And here are all the questions that I created and the answers. So you can even encourage students to do this as a pretest. And this is a great way to prime students for new information. So if they're going to be presented with new information in this video, it's a great way to kind of get their mind ready to hear that new information. So then I click continue. I'm ready to start watching the video. And then the video just pauses right there when that question comes up. So here's my question and my answer choices. And I can't click play. The play is grayed out because I did not let them skip the question. So I'm going to choose my answer and continue. And I have a preview of my website. It doesn't matter where I put it on the screen. And then the video pauses again. Click my answer. And it keeps going. And this one, if I wasn't sure, I have the hint button here, so I can click on the hint and see what that is. And then I can say, oh, well, today must be Thursday, and continue. Now, as soon as I answer that last question, this button pops up, and that lets me submit the quiz. So if I have 10 more minutes of video to watch, but I have this submit button, what do you think your students will do? Do you think they'll watch the whole video, or do you think they might just hit the submit button early? So I suggest that you put a question right at the end of the video, and that kind of forces them to watch the whole video. So I can go back and review my answers, and I didn't give them an opportunity to change them, but this is where they could if I gave them that permission. And then I hit submit, and it tells me, hey, I scored 100%. And then I can see it'll have a slash through any of them that are incorrect, but I got these all correct. And I can click on any of the questions to go back to that question and see it and see what the correct answer is, because I set that up in the settings when I did that. And then when I'm done, I just click done. It says thank you, and it goes back to the video. So that's how to add questions to a quiz. You can only do multiple choice questions. You can't do fill in the blank or matching or anything like that. So you'll want to, think carefully about how you create those questions. And then one more thing to show you is down here under actions, when we go to analytics, I can see my regular analytics on it, but I also have these other two tabs now about the quiz questions, and I can see here's the first question, and I see one person got a green thumbs up, they got it right. If they got it wrong, it would be a red thumbs down, and it would list all of the students here. So I can go through here and I can see, oh, well, look, only half the class got number 2 correct. So that tells me, well, the students didn't really understand that question, or they didn't really understand the concept. So I'm going to address that in my announcement this week. So in addition to looking at the whole class, you can also look at each individual user. So you can click on, it'll show you a list of all the users who have completed the quiz, and you click on them and it expands to show you which questions they got correct and incorrect with the green thumbs up or the red thumbs down. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for now, and we'll take a couple questions about how that quiz tool works, and then we're going to try it too.
I have one question for you, Anne.
Yeah.
you're adding these quiz questions to the actual movie file, so they become permanent in that video, right?
Yes.
Is there a simple way to go back and just clean them out so that if you wanted to just like have it as a lecture PowerPoint or something, it wouldn't have quiz questions in it?
Yeah, so when you create the quiz, it makes 2 copies. At the
Oh,
original,
okay.
and then it makes a second one with the questions in it.
And so you have to choose which one you insert into the actual
Into the
Blackboard.
course. Yep.
Okay. Just
Exactly.
wasn't clear how that actually worked. Thank you.
Yep.
There was one button that said transfer to CSV. What does that mean?
Yeah, so when you're looking at analytics, you can actually download those into a spreadsheet. So a CSV is a comma-separated file. So you can download it into a spreadsheet, and say you did that for each week. You downloaded them all. Then you can look at that spreadsheet and you can start looking at trends. And you can start comparing those numbers with exam scores. So you can start correlating to see how they're doing on the quizzes and the videos versus how they're doing on their exams. Other questions?
And I think you said this before, but I just want to make sure. So if you're going to create a quiz like that, it's not something that you can import into Grade Center in Blackboard?
Yeah, so you can actually. So you have the choice. It depends on how you add your quiz to Blackboard. If you add your quiz video as just a plain old video with either the mashup or adding it to your course gallery, then it doesn't count. And it's just for a learning tool. If you add it with the assessments dropdown, so you go to assessments and you have test, assignment, survey, all that stuff. One of the options under assessments dropdown is Kaltura Media Quiz. So if you add it that way, it'll create a column in the Grade Center, and it will take the scores at the end of the video and plop them into that column in the Grade Center. So yes, you can have these count. So you can say, I'm going to have a quiz each week. I'm going to throw in some questions on the lecture video every week, and you're going to get a score on all of them. And that score is worth 10% of your grade. So you can take that whole category of video quizzes and factor it into the final grade.